were the venues used earlier on in the competition, but now everything focuses in on the capital over the next 5 days. 6 more matches to come then. A round robin between the final 6 nations to decide the championship for this year. Argentina swept through their group almost imperiously, a 100% record, scoring 11 and conceding just 3 as they won all their 4 matches, joined by Chile in the final stages. Group B, well, we're still recovering from that the other night in Viña del Mar. Those incredible scenes as Brazil went through after beating Ecuador by 3-1, and they're joined by Colombia in the last 4. Those are the matches which line up for us this evening. There's a night off tomorrow, and then on Friday night Argentina play Chile and Colombia play Brazil. And on Sunday it all wraps up with the host nation Chile against defending champions Brazil, Argentina to play Colombia. And once we've picked the bones out of that lot, we should have the champions for South America in 1991. This is what happened at the end of June when the 2 sides in opposition tonight last met in a friendly in Rio de Janeiro. Brazil won, Argentina won. The second of 2 friendlies used by both clubs in the build-up to these championships. It had been 3-3 back in March. This one finishing in another draw, a penalty converted by Neto, providing Brazil with their goal. And Caniggia was the scorer for Argentina on that evening. Well, we're back live here in Santiago. As you can see, it's another wet night down here in Chile. A cool evening as well. The 2 sides are just about ready to take the field. A tremendous match in prospect then. Argentina, the tournament favourites against the defending champions Brazil, will be back with full match commentary after this short break.
Welcome back to the National Stadium in Santiago for what is surely the biggest and most important game of the Copa América 1991 so far. The meeting of 2 of the great rivals of international football, Argentina and Brazil. And I was lucky enough to see the game in Italy a year ago when these 2 met in the World Cup finals. And we'll never forget the absolute despair of the Brazilians that day when they dominated the game and lost to a Caniggia goal. Most unfortunate to go out of the World Cup. Well, Argentina have made a lot of changes in their team since then. Very few of the Italia 90 squad even on duty here in Chile. Goycochea, the goalkeeper, of course, Ruggeri and Caniggia, survivors of that squad. They've made a few changes during this competition, but they've stuck with the basis of the side that has done so well to carry them into this second stage with 4 straight wins. Brazil too, after their problems en route to this second round of the competition, have shaken up the pack a little bit. But again, they've stuck basically by the key players, the likes of Tafarel and Franco and João Paulo, and Neto, the captain, now restored in midfield. Tremendous atmosphere here, as there always is between these 2 South American giants. Argentina unbeaten since the World Cup final a year ago when they lost to West Germany in Rome, of course. And Brazil, the holders of the Copa América and finalists in 2 of the last 3 competitions. Argentina with the advantage of having played 3 of their 4 first-round games in this very stadium. Brazil, of course, played all their matches in Viña del Mar, so this is a new venue for them this time round. Argentina in the blue and white stripes, attacking from right to left. Brazil back in their famous strip of yellow jerseys and blue shorts. And Argentina looking menacing early on here. And an interception which denied Tafarel, the Brazilian goalkeeper, the opportunity of his first touch. Corner kick to Argentina then in the opening seconds, which Leonardo Rodriguez will take. The referee Maciel from Paraguay. Good crowd here. The Chileans, even though their team not involved yet, really interested in seeing this big clash. Tafarel stays on his line again, and it's in! An early goal for Argentina in the first minute. And the scorer is Franco. A header on the near post has caught the Brazilians absolutely flat-footed. Argentina attack from the kickoff, force a corner, and straight from the corner, Franco's header into the top corner of the net has given Argentina a sensational lead. Well, what an unbelievable start here on my watch. Just about 60 seconds had elapsed when the corner from Rodriguez was met beautifully by Franco, who scored the equaliser at Wembley. English fans will remember in that 2-2 draw against England back in May. What a start here for Argentina, and what a start for this game. Well, with me tonight, not just one, but two co-commentators, Martin O'Neill, who saw Brazil's dramatic victory over Ecuador in their previous game. What a start for them here, Martin.
Absolutely sensational. The one thing Brazil didn't want to do is concede an early goal, especially the rampant Argentinian side. But fair play, it's a terrific header, absolutely brilliant header by Franco. But as far as Brazil are concerned, it's like kicking off a goal behind. They haven't got settled into the stride. Most of the players hadn't even had a touch of the ball, and they find themselves a goal down in what's virtually the real big game. They're in desperate trouble early on.
Well, there's the scoreline, and also an opportunity to welcome John Fashanu, who's seen a couple of games also in this tournament. John, what a dramatic start.
Great start. I mean, the height difference is quite noticeable. So I think they're going to have problems from corners and set pieces like that.
And here they go again, Argentina on the attack. Tafarel caught that one. I think it may have gone behind, but in fact the referee has waved play on. So the Brazilian goalkeeper absolutely stunned by that header. Both the defender on the line, who John was perfectly placed really. That's exactly where you would have lined the defender up, but the header was so good it beat keeper and defender.
I'd certainly be very pleased with that sort of header.
I bet you would. And particularly in a game of this importance, Diego Franco, who's been in brilliant goal-scoring form this season. He also scored against Brazil, in fact, in the friendly earlier this year, against Hungary and the United States. He's really taking his tally of international goals to impressive proportions. But none more important than that. João Paulo fouled, and Brazil have just got to try and recover from the absolute shock of conceding that first-minute goal. So Neto, the captain, will swing the free kick in. Goycochea trying to organise the defenders in front of him. And a poor free kick. And the man who took the corner, Rodriguez, corner which led to Argentina's goal, gets it clear. Caniggia, a little ball in field to Simeone, loses out. Well won back by Maciel for Brazil. Marcel Santos on the far side. And a lunging tackle brings another free kick to the Brazilians. Basualdo, the culprit here. Well, even the crowd, I think, were stunned by the suddenness of that Argentine goal. And hopefully that will make it an even better match than we had really expected. And we expected a classic. It usually is when these two sides meet. So it looks like Franco lining up the free kick for the Brazilians and driven in hard. Oh, what a dramatic goal! Unbelievable stuff. We've had another goal. What a start to this game. And the crowd can't believe it. They've seen two dramatic goals in the space of a couple of minutes. And Brazil are level, thanks once again to the skill of this man Franco from a free kick. What a fantastic shot. He did it in the opening game against the Bolivians. He's done it again, and he's brought Brazil level. Martin O'Neill.
He's been waiting for those conditions, Alan, all along. You know, the ball's slippery, it's absolutely flying through the air, and he lined himself up, and honestly, I was just about to nod to John there, that I really did fancy him to hit the target in that one. It's easy for me to say, I'm obviously biased towards Brazil anyway, but great that they can come right back into the game. I think that the playing surface will help the game flow, because it has been raining, and the ball is sliding along. It's just lovely conditions, and I think Brazil will have gained a great deal of confidence from the fact that that they could score goals against Ecuador, whereas before they were struggling along, maybe scrambling home in matches. The fact that they could get goals meant that they were capable of turning games that looked nigh impossible for them beforehand. So it's magnificent news.
Well, John Fashanu, have you ever seen such a dramatic start to such an important international match?
No, I certainly haven't. I think this has got the hallmarks of being one of the best games of the tournament. And I say that, it's difficult. There's been a lot of very good games.
6 minutes gone, and incredibly, each side have scored. Argentina taking the lead in the opening 60 seconds or so through Dario Franco, and then Branco scoring with that wonderful free kick from, what would you say, 30 yards?
30, yeah.
Yeah, good 30 yards.
Very similar effort, but even more dramatic to the one he scored in the opening game, because on that occasion it bounced in front of the goalkeeper and you might have faulted him. I don't think you can really blame Goycochea this time, as Maciel goes forward and tries another long-distance shot. Little fullback who's had a very good tournament. I don't think any real blame for Goycochea on that free kick. It was hit so well.
Yeah, wouldn't have thought so. Honestly, well, I've certainly been inclined to blame goalkeepers almost at will here. Seem to have a thing against them, but no blame attached to Goycochea at all in that instance.
He was bending and dipping badly, wasn't it?
A shot, I suppose, that the Brazilians would say only they could achieve from that sort of position, but certainly it's become their hallmark and their speciality over the years.
We've been having the wry smile occasionally when Branco has lined up a free kick from all of 30, 40, even 50 yards out, suggesting that he might go and take goal kicks as well at the same time. But he proved his worth there, and that, as I say, it was still going like a rocket when it hit the net. There was no stopping it.
So, if there's a moment for this game to calm down and settle down, with 8 minutes gone, we've got a goal each here. Argentina 1, Brazil 1. Here's the scorer of the Argentine goal, Dario Franco. And both sides, I think, just trying to slow the tempo a little bit. And normally, we're used to seeing teams in a game of importance just feeling their way into the opening stages and testing each other out and probing without too many dramatic moments. But we've had 2 already here. And even the neutrals in the crowd here will be enjoying this. Simeone dispossessed in midfield. And Brazil come forward with their captain Nato. Maciel overlapping as ever eagerly down the right. Got a useful little ball forward to Mauro Silva. Argentina dealt with that one a little uneasily and still haven't got it clear. Simeone with the final header. Basualdo clears his lines. Santos getting it forward. João Paulo in a forward position as usual for the Brazilians on the left. Now Caniggia showing that lovely turn of pace that he has. Looks to see if the referee has given the free kick, and indeed he has. Could be a difficult night for the referee, because there's no love lost between these two nations. This is the kind of South American equivalent, if you like, of England against Scotland, West Germany against Holland, or any of those big needle matches in European football. Brazil, the holders of the Copa América, who looked at one stage as though they were going out in the first round. Argentina with a new look side from the World Cup of 1990. And both teams producing fireworks early on here. A lot of players forward. Ruggeri there, the captain, number 6 in the middle. Always a danger. Franco running straight into the defender who tried to obstruct him. And the header comes in. And Tafarel this time relieved to see it go wide.
I do think that Brazil are actually realising the aerial threat which Argentina have.
Yes, you mentioned that very early on, and it certainly has looked evident. Brazilians have defended pretty well so far in this tournament, but I think they were just literally caught out by the shock of such an early goal.
It's almost like a change of tactic, Alan. What they had been defending reasonably well. They were stung by Colombia in the game. Obviously had to win the match against Ecuador by a couple of clear goals. Threw caution to the wind in that particular game and could have conceded 5 and 6. And tonight, as John quite rightly mentions, there is a danger. Argentina have thrown things forward there when there's a chance for a free kick, and they're trying to counteract that by trying to defend as far out as possible.
Rocha in possession for the Brazilians. Mauro Silva, the linchpin in the middle of midfield for them. Given away this time. Franco picks it up for Argentina and looks for the little layoff. It comes back instead to Rodriguez. And a throw in to Argentina. Brazil so far, as you can see, have beaten Bolivia, lost dramatically against Colombia. That was the real shock result of the tournament so far. Then a meaningless draw against Uruguay. And then finally that fantastic victory against Ecuador with that last-minute goal which enabled them to take their place here in the second stage. Argentina win it back briefly in midfield, but Neto with the little layoff. And there he is again to receive the ball. The referee has allowed play to go on here with Argentina in possession, with Astrada in midfield, and then he loses out. Marcio Santos forward to João Paulo on the left. Skillful little winger, likes to attack defenders. And I think he's won the free kick this time. And the referee has given it. Argentina have had a very successful passage to this stage. 3-0, 1-0, 4-1 and 3-2 their victories over Venezuela, Chile, Paraguay and Peru. 100% record into this game. Remember, unbeaten since the World Cup final, as Goycochea will be happy to handle that one quite safely.
I think it's fair to say, though, Alan, they've had a hell of a clear-out since the World Cup final.
Yes, just 2 or 3 players left from the Italia 90 squad. There's one who didn't play too many of the games over there. Astrada getting it forward again. And the man who's been the star of the tournament so far, really, as far as goal scoring is concerned, Batistuta. Enrique going in with the challenge a little bit late, and the free kick has gone against him. To Brazil, who, remember, after today play Colombia on Friday and then Chile on Sunday. Second stage matches on the round-robin basis, much as the first stage. It's not a knockout competition this round of the Copa América. All 4 of those who've reached the final stages play each other. Argentina will play Chile on Friday and Colombia on Sunday in what's the final game in the competition. 1-1 here. 14 minutes gone. Free kick to Brazil, and Franco, who scored the goal, leaves it this time. But they will have a shot from any range, any angle, any distance. Their confidence, John, is amazing, isn't it, from free kicks?
And it's good to see, because you just never know when one's going to go in, as we've just seen earlier on.
Franco, the number 6, who scored the goal, leaving it this time to the captain, Neto. Just took a little deflection off the wall. And this time he didn't have enough pace to trouble Goycochea, but Argentina themselves go forward now. And that's either a dive or a foul, whichever way you look at it. The referee has seen it as worthy of a free kick. Still complaints from the Argentine players. Simeone brought down. Our coverage of this, what's so far been a highly successful Copa América, brought to you in association with our sponsors, including Lucasade. Quarter of an hour gone here in this first match of the second stage, and what a game it's proving to be. Argentina 1, Brazil 1 the score. Free kick to Argentina. And Batistuta is one of those shaping up perhaps for the shot, and hits it. Took a little deflection, and Mazinho gets it clear. Throw in. Enrique rode the first challenge well. Now Rodriguez, and wins the corner. Confirmation of the scoreline with a quarter of an hour gone. You've just joined us. I can tell you that Argentina took the lead very early on here with a headed goal by Franco from Rodriguez corner, and then Branco scored an equaliser from a free kick, all of 30 yards out for Brazil. Well, we've seen the danger that Argentina have shown in the air. Let's see if they can do it again. Another corner, hit deeper this time, and no real danger. Tafarel bowls it forward to João Paulo on the left. He's got a lot of pace and felt he was being held back. The referee agrees. Martin, we've seen a lot of, shall we say, casual sort of matches in the early stage of this competition. It seems to be really livening up now as we just to interrupt for a second, the first yellow card of the game to Vazquez.
Yeah, I think Argentina have been playing reasonably well. They've certainly improved as the competition has gone on. Sometimes think psychologically that might work against them. I think footballers always think, well, we've won 4 in the trot, can we make it 5 in the trot? Brazil, by their own admission, have just squirmed in by the skin of their teeth, and yet because of their game against Ecuador, they found a great deal of confidence from that particular match. The fact that, as I said earlier, they can get goals. The shoe may be on the other foot. There may be a more relaxed Brazil, almost by accident. This sort of feeling, yeah, we are capable of attacking. But on a general point, the football has been just recently has been absolutely excellent. Well, Ecuador find themselves desperately unlucky to go out of the tournament.
Confirmation there of the yellow card for Vazquez for a foul on João Paulo, who's just been dumped to the floor again. And once again, no matter how far out it is, Franco always puts the ball on the ground and shapes up as though he's going to have a crack on target. And why not? Certainly Goycochea in the Argentine goal will take it seriously, even if he gets a free kick on the halfway line. One hesitates to say surely this one's too far out. But he still hits it goalwards. Well, John, how many players have you seen with that ability?
It's incredible. But we know they do that. The South Americans always do that. I was just going to say to Martin, it looks like it's going to be a very explosive game. I think the referee's going to have to be very, very strong here.
Generally is a job when Brazil and Argentina meet each other.
He's done very well so far. He's let a lot play. Let it play on at the moment.
I think he's done excellent.
He's out of play. Argentina have won the Copa América 12 times in all, but surprisingly not since 1959. Only Uruguay have a better record than they do overall. And Brazil, equally surprisingly, have only won the competition 4 times in 75 years. And that's always been on home soil, but they are the current holders. Remember, Brazil. Falcao and his team took a lot of stick for their early performances. Some vicious criticism in the media back home. But here they are in the second stage, holding their own against Argentina. Leonardo Rodriguez with the free kick. And won it back momentarily, but then Mazinho with the interception. Neto.
Going back to Branco's free kick there just a moment ago, despite the fact I thought it was very ambitious from that distance and that angle, these conditions are things that goalkeepers just hate. Ball flying all over the place, skidding off a very greasy surface, and things that you would think that you have reasonably well covered. You've got no chance of getting back if there's any sort of deflection at all. So, as I say, there is a place for taking certain free kicks. I was just slightly against that one from Branco, but was never going to put a strong case of arguing because he's just lashed one in from about 5 yards further in.
Mazinho with a slightly clumsy clearance then. I'm sure he didn't quite mean that, but he got away with it. And Batistuta leaving it to the goal scorer Franco. Tried to bring Enrique on the far side, but Brazil win it back. A good strong run here, straight at the heart of the Argentine defence. Now feeling they should have had a free kick for that as Mazinho curls it in again. Vazquez got it away. Neto onto the loose ball. A lovely little flick. Well, it would have been if it stayed in play. But they do love these little tricks on the ball. And we can look again, gentlemen. Martin, perhaps on the first goal for Argentina.
Well, Brazil are absolutely stone cold dead here. They've started the start of the game. They've been nowhere near. It's something that they possibly have feared anyway. And a goal behind.
And John, the free kick again.
Great shot, unstoppable. As soon as the ball left his foot, he knew where it was going.
That's the word, unstoppable, and it was. I'm sure Tafarel knew what to expect, but or Goycochea rather knew what to expect, but just couldn't do anything to prevent it going in. Simeone in possession for Argentina. It's still 1-1 here. The ball almost reaching Rodriguez. Rocha gets it clear, and then foul, I think, by Batistuta. It's Enrique who scored the last-minute equaliser, or proved to be, in actual fact, the last-minute winner against Ecuador in the previous round, brought down. Ruggeri just helping it back. Vazquez. For Caniggia, who'd made a good run, but in any case, Argentina get the free kick. The referee has said play on because they're still in possession. And as usually happens in those cases, they then give it away. And then NATO presents the ball back to them again. Simeone. Wafted forward towards Caniggia. Batistuta couldn't control it. And then brought away by Maciel, but given away. Basualdo now gets it to Simeone, and Simeone goes down right on the edge of the penalty area. The referee says play on. Fair decision, I think, John.
Yeah, I think so. It's getting a little bit niggly. There's still no pattern to the game, as we can see.
Midway through the first half now, and after that explosive opening, it settled down into a slightly more gentle pace. As we see, I think the challenge here, right on the edge of the penalty area, and if any foul had been given, it would have been outside anyway. And the referee waved play on, and now a corner kick to Brazil. Falcao, the Brazilian coach, player in the '82 World Cup finals for them, who's been absolutely reviled back home for his team's opening performances. What satisfaction he'll take if they make further progress here.
I think his starring role in the World Cup of '82 is a long, long way off. I think he'd prefer to be out there with the yellow shirt on rather than going through all the hassle.
And he was a great player, wasn't he?
Terrific.
I was saying earlier in the competition, he's apparently made himself a lot of money now. He runs a fashion business and a few other things, and had to be tempted out of not exactly retirement, but a more comfortable, less stressful way of life to take over the coaching job. And I would think at least a couple of days ago he must have been wondering what on earth had persuaded him to do it. Well, this looks an unpleasant injury. It didn't seem so at the time, did it?
It looked a very harmless one. I don't actually know what's wrong with him.
Sometimes, as we've said, they're slightly over-dramatised with the appearance of all kinds of medics for a graze. Wouldn't go down well at Wimbledon, John. I think the sight of a stretcher for anything other than a broken limb, would it?
Oh, I don't know. We've had a few knocks. You know, the game has changed now, especially at Wimbledon.
Dished out a few knocks as well. So.
We won't argue with that, mine.
But he's on his feet, surprisingly. Drink of water. And they want to keep him on, if only to take free kicks. Franco. And it's a corner to Brazil. The captain, NATO, will take it. A dangerous one, but just a little bit too much curl on it in the end. Goal kick. Reminder, Brazil won, Argentina won, 20 minutes to go to half-time here. Brazil, the most successful country in South American football history. They've appeared in every single final stages of the World Cup competitions since the game's premier competition began. But Argentina have been so successful, of course, themselves, with appearances in 3 of the last 4 World Cup finals. and victories in 1978 and 1986. Really the cream of South American football in opposition here tonight. João Paulo doing well for Brazil. Oh, and then taking a clobbering as he played the ball forward. Referee has said play on because Brazil is still in possession, and then a second foul. I think it was Vazquez again. Well, the referee's actually shown the yellow card to Astrada. Vazquez was certainly involved.
I think that's called as the clothesline, I think, Alan.
Can you explain for those who don't know?
Because it's sort of the arm out, sort of takes your head off.
Yeah.
As you'll see, just coming up here.
There'd already been one foul just before this.
That's right, there it is.
Wow.
The referee spotted that one, and whatever was going to happen, the second one was always going to be a free kick, John.
That's right.
It's always going to be a free kick. I mean, the fact that it is a free kick anyway turns out, but it's always going to be one.
Well, I wonder who might take this. No prizes for guessing. That if he can score from, you know, a few yards in from the left touchline, 30 yards out, this is almost as good as a penalty for Franco, I would think. In the meantime, rather more concerned about the injury.
And it really is exactly as Martin said, it's damp and it's slippery at the ball. And I noticed they're playing with the Adidas balls, they're very light balls, almost like tangos. And they just sort of fly and they bend and you don't know where they are. Whereas when you're playing with the mitre balls, they're a lot heavier and you can't do the same sort of things with them.
You're not sponsored by Mitre by any chance, are you, John? I'm sure that's a comment that a lot of professional footballers would agree with.
The difference in weight it really is incredible, as Martin knows.
Yeah. Actually, John, you've been very complimentary. It didn't make any difference to which ball I played with. I could do nothing with either of the two.
There's a few people would argue with that, Martin.
Yellow card there for Carlos Enrique. He could have really dispensed any number of yellow cards, I think, in that little incident. Now then, when it's all settled down, Brazil will have a free kick. The referee has to sort out the various arguments. And Goycochea has to sort out how he's going to deal with this. To march back the 10 yards, haul them back the right distance, calm it, says Falcao. NATO over the ball as well as Franco here.
I think this without doubt will be Franco.
NATO takes it. They'll do anything to make a liar of you, but it wasn't bad, was it? No, he's the second choice of taking free kicks.
Yeah, I've just nudged you and you'd be wrong. You know?
But a beauty, John, wasn't it?
It was. Again, look at the bend on it. Look at that.
29 minutes gone here in Santiago. Argentina won, Brazil won in the first game of the second stage of the Copa América. And remember, each of the four teams, Argentina and Brazil playing tonight, Chile and Colombia will play each other before the final act is carried out on Sunday in this very stadium. There'll be a few dramas en route to that match. And naturally enough, no team wants to lose their first game, so hopefully we'll see both teams, as we have so far anyway, going for the win here. NATO helping it out to the far side to Franco. João Paulo. Basualdo sticking very tight to him on that touchline. NATO flicking it on. Now it comes to Caniggia, who was nudged in the back by the Brazilian captain. Somewhat insincere handshake. Rodriguez getting it back to Basualdo. Now Astrada midfield. That's a good ball too for Caniggia. And a free kick and a little bit of unpleasantness as he lashed out. And there's definitely a little bit of needle creeping in here. And the referee is going to take some action.
Always had to happen. Only surprising thing is it's taken so long.
Carlos Enrique was shown the yellow card earlier. He was one of those kind of getting himself involved in that rather unnecessarily.
He's off.
And he is off. He's off I'm not quite sure who he sent off. It looks like Caniggia, in fact, he sent off.
Or actually why he sent him off.
Or Mazinho. Mazinho has gone, and Caniggia. So the referee has decided to even out blame to each side for that incident, and Caniggia, one of the stars of the tournament, has gone, and so has Mazinho. Now there was the first foul. Another player got himself involved. Caniggia whipped around here, and really, I have to say, I think the referee's overreacted a bit on that one. I don't know what you lads think.
He has certainly. He's thrown out. If Caniggia is not going to hurt anybody like that. I think it's a terrible decision.
John?
Yeah, and that could change the game. I think that really could change the game. Very disappointed in that decision.
Well, in view of some of the things we've seen, I think it's very surprising that referee Maciel has read that one as worthy of not one but 2 red cards. Caniggia has gone, so has Mazinho, and it was really nothing more than handbags at 10 paces. It was 2 players getting involved for a ball. There was a foul and there was an angry reaction, but it was nothing vicious. Nobody got hurt.
I think both players can consider themselves very unlucky.
Well, Mazinho's gone in pretty hard. There was an opportunity still early on in the game to try and rough Caniggia up, as happens in the game. I mean, he has committed a foul, and honestly, Caniggia sending off is nothing short of disgraceful.
All he did really was
through an arm.
Yeah,
through an arm. I mean, it wasn't even a proper punch. Not at all. Not at all.
Lash out or anything.
Not
really.
at all.
Didn't make contact.
When John and I had been both saying that the referee seemed to have been handling the game admirably, but it happened. You know, they get under a little bit of pressure. The last 5 or 6 minutes have been it's been a bit sparky. Boys have tried to have a go at each other and off the ball incidents and things like that. There, suddenly the referee thinks the game's getting out of hand, even though it might not be. And things that he could have sorted out properly, he's decided to go the whole hog. And it's bad news for Argentina, because Caniggia is become, is now a world-class footballer, and he is capable of turning games round on his own.
Yes, a key player gone for them. Here's Simeone with the shot, and certainly you don't want to lose any player, John, but I guess the absence of a fullback, as opposed to the absence of one of your main strikers,
certainly
is rather easier to overcome.
But I think we're going to see a lot more niggles now, because it's now warming up. And it's really unfortunate.
Well, it's not lacking in drama, this game, whatever else you say. We've had 33 minutes gone in the first half. We had 2 goals very early on here. 2 very good goals as well. A header from a corner, scored by Franco for Argentina. And a great long-distance free kick by Franco for Brazil. Now we've had Caniggia and Mazinho, 1 from each side, sent off. Batistuta giving away the free kick for that foul on Luis Enrique. And at least all the players now know that the referee won't stand for any nonsense whatsoever. So Franco goes forward again and finds Nato on the far side. And the ball whipping in again, and the point you were making, Martin, the just greasy top.
Just picking up pace as it's bouncing in front of the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper's 6s and 7s, not exactly sure what's happening here. And John quite rightly made the point, the ball is definitely moving, it's swinging around there. I was nearly going to draw a cricketing analogy, but I know as little as about cricket as I do about this.
Argentina on the attack again then. Simeone in possession. Got Astrada short, but opts to knock it long to Carlos Enrique on this side. On towards the goal scorer Franco. Batistuta beyond him. Batistuta leaves it to Basualdo. 10 minutes to half-time. Basualdo goes down, but no foul given. Rodriguez forward to Batistuta, and then to Astrada. Back it goes again to the leading goal scorer in the competition, who is brought down. In fact, it was Franco who was brought down that time by Luis Enrique. Now let's see if Argentina can produce a Brazilian-style free kick. I wonder. They don't seem to have had quite so much success from these positions, but I do remember Batistuta himself scoring one early on in the competition. I think that's him lining up the shot this time as Ruggeri gets in the wall. Gamesmanship there by the Brazilian, running back right in front of him. And a very good shot comes in, which Taffarel did well to deal with. If that had taken a little skid off the surface, it might have been even more difficult to handle.
Got his body right behind the ball there and held onto it very well. Could have just popped out.
Batistuta getting that shot directly on target. And good goalkeeping from Taffarel, Brazil's World Cup keeper. Players on both sides now being particularly cautious in incidents like that. Astrada backs away. Brazil get the free kick. Mauro Silva back to Rocha. Maciel. Franco on the left. Maciel again. Now Mauro Silva midfield. NATO calls for it. Argentina with 11 players back behind the ball now. And suddenly they get a break. And once again, NATO went in, and almost a suggestion that Rodriguez might have got himself involved in another little incident then, but I think he thought better of it.
I think we can quite safely say he stopped him anyway.
Unorthodox. Ruggeri gets it forward, but
I think that was the case, John, of Rodriguez staying on his head just about 2 seconds longer than you would generally do.
8 minutes to half-time here. Argentina 1, Brazil 1. Both players, well, both teams have had one player sent off.
Just feel sorry for Caniggia at the minute. He's sitting in the dressing room there, but obviously thinking, what has he actually done? He's missed a World Cup final because of suspension before. Big games, missing big games is becoming something of a familiarity with him.
That's a good point. He was very unlucky to be suspended for the World Cup final, I remember as well. It was for the second bookable offence.
That's right.
Pretty name one at that.
We're very surprised, as we just said before, we're very surprised at the referee's decision, because his interpretation of the foul had been excellent up to then, the advantage and everything. He just suddenly turned.
7 minutes remaining in the first half. Argentina against Brazil in the Copa América. João Paulo dispossessed. And a throw in to Brazil.
I suppose it would be fair to comment that referees nowadays, certainly in the last 12 to 18 months, are put under more pressure than they've ever been before. You know, they're under the spotlight, the microscope, and even good referees that we say in England are what you would say were making horrendous howlers simply because of this interpretation of laws. But that, to me, was just a straightforward incident, one that you can interpret that a free kick for Argentina, end of story.
I'm sure most people would agree with that. And let's hope it hasn't spoiled the game. Franco going on hard to win it, and then that looked like a foul. Although the referee's having trouble deciding what's play acting or what's a genuine free kick now. As Rodriguez gets a useful cross in, and it's gone in. It's a splendid second goal, and he's done it again. A brilliant second for Dario Franco. Another fine header. 6 minutes to half-time. Argentina are back in front.
There's no doubt that the goal was absolutely stupendous, but Rodriguez has done marvellously here. Absolutely brilliant. He's crossed with left-footed, and Franco, as you mentioned earlier, is having some tournament.
Well, John, what a great header, but as Martin says, a superb cross.
Yeah, it really was, but I mean, you take it back a little bit, the referee played some great advantages there, because as you said before, Alan, there could have been a foul, but he played on, and look what happened.
Yes, we've given the referee a bit of stick for the sendings off, but he allowed the game to flow then, and Basile, the Argentine coach, is very grateful that he did. But it was a splendid second goal.
As we said earlier, they're always going to be dangerous in the air.
Lovely header from Franco, directed over the defender into the corner where the goalkeeper couldn't reach it. And strangely enough, both the Argentine goals have come from the same route. Rodriguez took the corner, Franco the header for the first one. Rodriguez cross, Franco's header again for the second. Argentina lead Brazil 2-1 here in the final 4 minutes of the first half of a game that has lived right up to its expectations. Well, Caniggia off the field, he may be back in the dressing rooms, but they've got players all over the field, it seems, Argentina, who can score goals. And we haven't really seen much of Batistuta, the leading scorer in the competition so far, apart from one free kick. Simeone in midfield. And they're buzzing again now, and that looked like a foul. And indeed, that's how the referees read it.
So, you know, you're never sure how much he's playing acting or whether he really is injured.
It seems to be almost a way of life in South American football. I think in the European football, you don't see quite so much of this, the histrionics, do you? And that makes it even more difficult, of course, for the referee to sort it out. We can see the incident again here. Rodriguez pulling the ball back. And, well, he definitely, obviously, fouled him there, Marcio Santos, but I'm not certain this is as bad as he made it appear. But a free kick it is.
I didn't actually see what he did there, Alan. What did he do?
Just caught his shin slightly. The odd bruise or six.
That's lousy fast move. Commentator under that type of pressure.
Looks like a Vinnie Jones tackle, actually, to me.
And here goes Batistuta going down. Nothing given. Franco in possession. Appeal for I'm not quite sure what there by Argentina, but whatever it was, they've got possession back again. Good little run here. And again, I think the referee was right this time. Marty?
Yeah, definitely. Just getting back to the goal. I mean, it's always easy in hindsight to say this, and I suppose I am swayed by the fact that Argentina have just gone into the lead 2-1. But I have had a feeling since the sending off that it, strangely enough, has actually affected Brazil. They've gone into this sort of lethargy again that was common with their game in early part of the rounds, and suddenly they find themselves 2-1 because just break off.
As Nato hits it wide, yes.
Because Caniggia's been sent off, I think suddenly they just relaxed that little bit. There's a goal scorer supreme who's gone out of the side, and I just feel that for that 10 or 15 minutes, instead of pressing forward that advantage that they should have had, suddenly they've allowed the game to slip away from them. And I think they have got to up it again to get themselves back into contention.
Well, certainly Argentina have proved themselves a side very capable of scoring goals in this tournament. And Brazil have got to start again. 2-1 down. Minute to go to half-time. Now Paulo in possession. And they've got players forward here. And it was pulled back into the danger area, all right. But Argentina just happened to have more men than the Brazilians on that occasion, and it was the goal scorer, Franco, who was the final man.
I think that's the second time Paulo's got loose. Pretty dangerous player.
He is a dangerous player. He is, honestly, he's an exceptional talent. He's a left foot. He's caused lots of problems, and as the competition has got more and more involved, he's got better and better. And probably you felt that Caniggia was the match winner in the Argentinian side. I think João Paulo has taken that role on for Brazil. But they certainly need him now.
He certainly took on 4 players there, I think.
Astrada plays it back. Argentina knowing that the half-time whistle isn't far away. The Chilean spectators unforgiving, but you can't blame them. 2-1 here. They just want to hold on to that scoreline before half-time. Rodriguez with an optimistic effort. The way it dropped and looped, Taffarel looked a little bit uneasy with it. So it just shows that it's worth trying anything at this stage of the half. They've got an unexpected corner out of it. And And they have been dangerous from the corners they've had so far. And it could be the mixture as before, with Leonardo Rodriguez to take it. And all eyes this time will definitely be on Franco, but they've also got Ruggeri and Batistuta in the middle. Corner never reached either of them this time, though. And that is the half-time whistle. And what a half it's been here. Argentina taking the lead very early on with a headed goal by Franco from a corner. Franco's dramatic free kick brought Brazil level again. Then we had two players, Caniggia and Mazinho, sent off. And then a fine headed goal by Franco, putting Argentina back in front here. If the second half is half as good as the first, it shouldn't be missed. The half-time score in Santiago, Argentina 2, Brazil 1.
Welcome back. The half-time position here in the National Stadium. Argentina leading Brazil by 2-1. And the game really getting off to a quite blistering start. 2 goals inside the first 4 minutes. A goal for Argentina after just 60 seconds of play from their very first corner. Dario Franco's header going past Tafarel. And it's been, well, a half that's really blown hot and cold, with the sending off as well of 2 players, Caniggia and Mazinho. Brazil coming back with an equaliser after 4 minutes, and then a second header from Dario Franco. And we'll have a look at all the highlights from the half in just a moment or two. John and Martin still with me. John, if I can begin with you, because as a striker who's nodded a few in himself in his time, you must have enjoyed the play of Dario Franco here.
Yeah, I was surprised actually that the fact that how strong he was in the air, because I thought his strength was on the floor. But he was very good.
Well, we remember Dario Franco's fine-headed goal at Wembley in May, from the same side that this corner comes in, and there he is, the big number 8, with a superb header. Tafarel unable to get a hand on it. Martin, good start for Argentina.
Oh, it's an absolutely terrific start. Brazil, I've mentioned earlier, most of the players hadn't even touched the ball. Certainly Tafarel's first touch is that he's pulling it out of the back of the net. You'd mentioned Franco. John's absolutely right. Superb header of the ball. He's fearless in those positions, and he's had a sensational turnout. Here's a classic header.
Well, surprisingly, he was stopped. He was dropped after 2 games. And Basile said his mind was not concentrating on the tournament. But here's Brazil's equaliser. What a free kick from Franco.
Great. That's one of the best in the tournament, isn't it, Martin?
It's been an excellent goal. Franco's been waiting. He's been waiting ages and ages to do that. I know he scored against. I think it was it Bolivia when they scored the second goal?
Yes, it was.
But that bounced all over the place, and that one's gone as true as an arrow.
Long distance again, but can we fault Goycochea on a shot like that, boys?
If you ask me, but I don't think so. On the conditions, just taking the conditions into consideration. I mean, I blamed the Bolivian goalkeeper so badly it was untrue. Here, I didn't feel so.
Yeah, I agree with you, Martin.
Well, there's Brazil looking for the same top corner again. That time, Neto wide of the mark. This was the sending off on 31 minutes. Caniggia really only himself to blame there for sparking that incident. The free kick had gone in his favour. No need to react as he did. But our sympathies with the Brazilian boy.
Do you think so? I'm still very sympathetic. He's thrown out a fist. There's no doubt. And you could say technically that is a sending off offence because he's retaliated. I don't think so. That goes on in the game week in, week out.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be sent off for throwing a fist back at an angle when you've actually been fouled, I think there's something wrong with it.
Well, going into this game, Argentina, the only side in the Final Four who had not had a man sent off. That's all changed. We're down to 10 aside. It means there'll be more room out there on the pitch in the second half. But this was the second Argentine goal, and it's that man, Dario Franco, again. John, how did you see that one?
Another great goal. I mean, that's a classic striker's goal, isn't it? Nice little glancing touch.
And good play from Leonardo Rodriguez here. He's really filling the space there, vacated by Caniggia's expulsion. And that's a great glancing header from Franco at the near post.
If you're telling me Basile said that his mind's only half in the job, God knows what it'd be like if he fully concentrated.
Yeah.
About Franco.
Well, it does seem amazing, but Zapata came in for game 3 as Franco was dropped and criticised by Basile as thinking too much about his impending move to Spain. That's a strong run by João Paulo, but the Argentine defenders back in numbers, and Dario Franco, the goal scorer there, in fact, clearing up the danger.
I hope John will agree with me that when the really big game comes, you try and play your very best possible side. I noticed Franco was in the starting lineup.
That's right. You judge on what you do out there on the pitch.
So a hard-working first-half performance from Argentina, who did go into this match as favourites. They lead Brazil at the break by 2-1, and you see that on the caption, 2 yellow cards for both Vazquez, Carlos Enrique, Caniggia and Maciel the first, the 2 players who've been banished for the proverbial early bath. The goal attempts absolutely even from the first 45, 8 aside. It's Argentina at the break who have the goals. 2 from Dario Franco, the first inside a minute, the second 6 minutes from the break, and Franco's reply for Brazil, another devastating free kick detonated from the Brazilian defender that left Goycochea clutching air. So we're nicely set up for the second half, and just to remind you that the double-header tonight here in Santiago from the Copa América 91 will feature Colombia and Chile after the final whistle of the game we're enjoying here. On Friday evening in this round-robin stage of the tournament, Argentina face host nation Chile, and then Colombia and Brazil, a rematch with the Brazilians clearly looking for revenge after their shock 2-0 defeat in the Group B games earlier in the week. And the Copa América finishes on Sunday evening as the curtain comes down for us, with 2 more matches live and exclusive to the European Sports Network. Chile against Brazil, Argentina against Colombia, and at the end of all that we will find out who will be the champions for 1991 down here on the soccer-mad continent of South America. But the half-time position here at the break in the National Stadium, Argentina leading Brazil by 2-1. It's all superbly poised, and we're set for the second half. We're going to take a short break, and then Alan Parry will be back with John Fashanu and Martin O'Neill. Whatever you do, don't go away.
Welcome back to Santiago. At half-time here, Argentina leading Brazil by 2-1, and a buzz of expectation around the stadium, the National Stadium here, the venue, in fact, for the 1962 World Cup final when Brazil played Czechoslovakia. A buzz of anticipation for the second half of what's proving to be one of the most entertaining and exciting and in many ways controversial games of the competition so far. Well, with me again as the teams come out, Martin O'Neill and John Fashanu. Martin, how would you expect the pattern of this second half to develop?
Well, stating the very obvious, Brazil have got to get a goal to get back into it. There's no point in them expecting other teams to do them favours. They have got to get back into this game. They've got to come out with at least a draw in a particular match, and then take the competition from then on. But I would expect to see them pick up play, pick up the tempo as they did in the Ecuador game almost from the start. I do feel that they've relaxed when the game was 1-1 and that Caniggia, the danger man for Argentina, was sent off, and I felt that they paid for that relaxation. They're still capable of getting goals themselves. Paulo himself has looked very, very dangerous, but I would just like a bit more flow in their particular play, and to commit men, not to the point that they did almost suicidally against Ecuador, but certainly commit men to more forward positions.
John, can you see Brazil getting back into this game?
Oh yes, certainly. We've seen the free kick, the first free kick, which was incredible. So yeah, every chance.
Which players in particular have impressed you, John?
Pablo. How do you pronounce it, Alan?
Paulo, number 11 for Brazil.
Paulo, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, as Martin said, it's very, very dangerous, and I think they realise that.
There's a check on the records of these 2 teams in the Copa América and in their particular meetings. And as you can see, as is often the case between major footballing nations, there's very little to choose between them. All over competitions, World Cups as well as Copa Americas, 28 wins each and 18 drawn. It's amazing how close they've been.
I think what has impressed me most about this particular Argentinian side Al, is that unlike the team of a year ago, where you had an out of sorts Maradona and Caniggia just coming into the picture as a top-class player, they didn't look capable of getting goals from any other angle. Here suddenly Caniggia's off the field again, and they still look capable. They have very capable players. Franco has proved himself, Batistuta, and almost to the point that a player like Latere, who came into the competition with an absolutely unbelievable reputation, cannot actually get into the starting lineup. So that in itself has shown how much they've progressed. They've won 4 games in the trot. They look as if they're capable of beating the very, very best. And at the minute, I would say they are deservedly in the lead.
Well, Brazil showing a bit of reluctance to come out here for the second half. I don't know whether this is a bit of gamesmanship on their part, but that huge, looks like a pregnant sausage at the end of the pitch, which disgorges the players onto the playing field, has brought us the Argentine side, but not as yet Brazil. And Ruggeri, no doubt, making the point as NATO now leads the Brazilians out. So they've been in for a cup of tea and the Boy Scouts baked beans there at half-time. It's the biggest tent I've ever seen. Just looking back at the sending off incident, there's been, we've all had our little discussions at half-time. Had any reason to change your mind, Martin? Do you think both sendings off were not justified?
No, I think what we commented on is what we saw. It's just perhaps there might be the feeling there that there may have been another incident afterwards that we haven't actually been able to get a proper look at, and perhaps Caniggia then carried on his retaliation in some aspect by just as the picture disappears, we just seem to see well, I'm going over the top here and saying perhaps maybe a head-butting incident. If that's the case, then the referee is absolutely right in sending him off. But that is pure speculation on my part at this stage.
Well, we've had a substitution. It's curious the way they affect the substitutions here. The player who's being subbed comes out for the start of the second half, and then the substitute has to go to the touchline and be checked by the reserve official. Don't quite know why they can't do that in the dressing room at half-time. But anyway, Renato is on, the number 7. Tall and leggy, and gets through a lot of work in midfield, replacing the ineffective Silvio Cesar. I must admit I don't remember too much of him in the first half, and Renato played pretty well in the opening couple of games in the tournament. I thought he was a bit unlucky to be left out here anyway. He's certainly the kind of player they'll need to really have a bit of metal in the middle and get themselves back into this game. That's Renato, number 7, on for Silvio Cesar. So the referee starts the second half with Argentina leading Brazil by 2-1. Brazil attacking from right to left now with the substitution of Renato for Silvio Cesar. The only change as far as we can see during the interval. Basualdo with a free kick for Argentina as the substitution is confirmed. Simeone and Rodriguez, who had a very good first half and at the heart of both Argentina's goals, and looking good again down the right here, and another dangerous looking cross, and it was almost a repeat, and a repeat. It is exactly what it's turned out to be, but this time the goal scorer is the man whose goals have enlivened this competition from the start. It doesn't matter to Argentina who gets them. They've done just as they did in the first half. They've started with a goal in the opening 60 seconds, and this man, Leonardo Rodriguez, at the heart of it again, and another brilliant header by Batistuta, and it's 3-1 to Argentina. What a start, what a game this is proving to be.
Incredible, great goal again. Aerial assault, as we said.
Brazil just have not been able to deal with that ball coming in there. And I've got to admit, Tafarel looks as if he's had an unhappy afternoon or early evening. I'm not saying he's to be blamed for the goal at all, but he's looking across at his defence and saying, where exactly are you? And within, what, 30 seconds of the start of the second half? So that's twice Brazil have been caught cold, and they've not learned the lesson from the first half.
Batistuta gets his 5th goal of the Copa América. He's now clear leading scorer ahead of Zamorano of Chile. And Argentina take a 3-1 lead as João Paulo gets a good-looking ball into Renato. They need one back straight away here, Brazil, and they almost got one. This is some game, isn't it? The little man in midfield, Mauro Silva, who with due respect to him was probably not the player they would have wanted on the end of that particular move. I don't think goal scoring is his forte, but a good build-up.
No, he's just a strong defensive midfield player. He doesn't find him in that, himself in that position too often. But Renato's first touch, that's a good sign for him. He's been able to get hold of it and just lay it off into the path of Silva. So perhaps maybe Brazil looking for him to do something in this second half. But the one thing he wouldn't have wanted, at 2-1, he comes into a situation that's still tailor-made for him. At 3-1, he's thinking, well, a long way to go now.
They've got to get something surely very soon here, Brazil. Well, they did it, of course, in the first half with a goal within, what, 3 or 4 minutes of Argentina's initial goal. He's the man who scored it, in fact, Franco, swinging the free kick in. And they've dealt with it well. Brazil have got to keep the pressure going now, but they've wasted the opening. But John Fashanu, as a guy who scored a few goals with your head yourself, I would think the quality of all 3 of the goals must have really impressed you.
It really was. I was listening to what Martin said there. I was blaming the goalkeeper a little bit here. So I did think that he just might have got that. I wasn't sure. But I must admit, I blame him for that.
I'm just taking the conditions into consideration again, John. It's just picked up a little bit pace as the balls hit the deck in the first place. But it's a magnificent ball by Rodriguez. It split the defence. The two men, actually Brazil are back with a couple of men there, 2 against 1 situation, and the forward has headed the ball into the net.
Well, the quality of the 3-headed goals and the 1 free kick by Brazil, absolutely of the highest order here. Again, we've got the stretcher on, which I hope and think won't be needed. But a one-man right in the middle of the picture there. I'm sure, Martin, you'd like to comment on the quality of his crossing. Leonardo Rodriguez, the corner, and then the 2 centres for the goals. First order.
Yeah, both feet. He's been able to do it right or left. His move down for the second goal just before half-time was excellent. Reminded me of John Robertson at his very, very best, the little fat winger for Nottingham Forest years and years ago. And he was able to, he shuffled right, he moved into a left wing position, and just when it didn't look as if he had the angle to cross the ball, he swept over magnificently, absolutely magnificent. He's shown what he can do on the left-hand side, he can do equally as well on the right-hand side. And it's getting back to what I mentioned just before they kicked off, that this Argentinian side of now has got that benefit of here suddenly they've got 3 or 4 lads who have the confidence to take the game by the scruff of the neck themselves.
14 goals in 5 games, if my mathematics is right now, for Argentina. That's some total in a competition of this calibre. And of course, we're only a few minutes, 5 minutes into the second half, so there's scope for them to score more yet. That really is impressive goal scoring.
They certainly look a good side. I mean, as we said, they've only got 3 or 4 players since the World Cup still remaining. They've done very well.
As Franco makes the cross, which is beaten away by Basualdo for a corner. How they need a bit of Branco's magic again. Just unlike Argentina, Brazil haven't looked half as dangerous really from corners. Neto takes this one, and Goycochea deals with it. A bit uneasily, but he got it clear anyway. Back in it comes from Maciel, but a wasted opening really. And here's the man who arguably, despite the heading ability of others, has been the man of the match so far. Rodriguez, and another good ball played into a dangerous area. Now here's Batistuta, who was definitely nudged in the back, but the referee had a good look at it and said play on.
He's obviously the danger, Rodriguez. I'm surprised they haven't put anybody on him, because that's where all the openings are coming from. And as Martin said, they just can't contain him.
I think all great players can always at some stage or another lose their markers as well too, John, you know, and he has been able to make space for himself.
Franco playing it through to Batistuta there, but again it all stemmed from Rodriguez as Renato tries to deliver a Rodriguez-like cross. Not a bad one. Mauro Silva. Neto trying to shape up for the shot, but he took too long and was dispossessed by Astrada. Brazil win it back, but they haven't looked as incisive, certainly, as Argentina moving forward. Renato. That's a good-looking ball as well, and curled in by Franco to the far post. Yes! Yeah. They've scored!
That's what they wanted, that's what they needed. They're back in the game now.
João Paulo gets the goal, and Brazil, as you rightly say, have hit back at just the right moment. Well, is there any end to the goals in this game? Good cross, Franco, the provider this time. The ball dropped absolutely where he wanted it, almost onto the penalty spot. And really, in a sense, he couldn't miss from that distance. Slightly poor marking, perhaps, Argentina there, Martin O'Neill.
I'm not so sure, Alice. It's a very dangerous ball shoveled in by Franco, or whipped in, I should say. And it's one of those, if it falls, if it's not knocked out very clearly, then there's always a chance of an incoming player being able to get a touch in. There's no point in me saving all my decent comments for off-screen now. I was just about to say to you, I thought that the game was going to take another twist. And, of course, again, I hate to show bias, but I want Brazil back in this game so badly. I've got this £10 with Phil, and I'm desperate not to lose it.
Well, I think we're going to see a very exciting game now anyway.
I think we have done so.
Just a little bit.
Well, there's been more drama packed into the, what have we had, 53 minutes of this match than many an international tournament. This has been tremendous stuff here in Santiago. And now Argentina's lead is cut back to a single goal. It's Argentina 3, Brazil 2. And Brazil suddenly have the upper hand. They've got the bit between the teeth again after that goal. Well cut out by Batistuta. Argentina always look capable of scoring whatever the position in the match.
But it's the first time that Brazil have shown an urgency in the game, certainly from the last 20 minutes, and I include the last 15 of the first half, John. It's the first time that they've really gone with a bit of passion and a bit of desire of thinking we can actually get something out of this game. That should give them the lift that they most definitely needed at this stage of the game.
It did come at a very vital time.
Sliding challenge by Maciel that meant he was not going to take any prisoners. Basualdo picks himself up and gets the throw. And another free kick. Mauro Silva responsible for the foul this time on the ever dangerous Leonardo Rodriguez. So Tafarel, who's had a bit of an unhappy day. Certainly you could have a long look at one of the goals, if not two of the goals, from a positional point of view for the Brazilian keeper. And a generally kind of hesitant night. Now let's see if the mixture as before can work again here for Rodriguez. He's got Batistuta and, of course, Franco awaiting the cross. Ruggeri's in there as well, and inevitably, of course, he hits it knee height. And no danger happens, but it's not gone yet. Basualdo. Basualdo runs onto the return ball and flicks it on to Batistuta, who wins the corner off Marcio Santos. I think the dismissed Caniggia will be really frustrated at missing out on this. It's the kind of game that I would think any goal scorer would love to be involved in. It's the sort of match where we haven't seen any negative play by either side. It's really, in the words of the old cliche, end-to-end stuff, and I'm sure there's more goals to come yet here. Argentina 3, Brazil 2. Rodriguez with the corner again. This time Brazil get there first and had to. And they break dangerously. Renato in possession. No foul given. Almost doesn't look Brazilian, Renato. He's not got the most artistic touch on the ball, but he achieves things. Big and powerful and runs straight at people sometimes, but it's given them a little new dimension to their game here in the second half.
He was desperately disappointed to be left out. He didn't play particularly well against Colombia. Mind you, not very many of them did do. He looked leg-weary in that game, so they've given him a rest. He'd missed out in the Ecuador game. He's come back in here, and his introduction since half-time has perked them up a little bit. Obviously, it had nothing at all to do with the fact that Argentina had scored the goal. But his own introduction, he's capable of running at players, as you say, a bit unorthodox in his style, but nevertheless achieves things.
Free kick to Argentina. Ruggeri, the captain. Carlos Enrique on the left. And good running again by the man who's got 2 goals here, Franco. Mauro Silva knocks it out for a throw. Our coverage of the Copa América brought to you in association with our sponsors, Lucasade. Argentina leading Brazil by 3 goals to 2. Renato for Brazil. That's a useful ball. And they've got a bit of width here, and if they can get players forward in the middle, there could be danger. Good tackle, though. What a good challenge. Nice, clean tackle it was by Vazquez. Here's Simeone. Batistuta.
It's important for Brazil to keep the momentum going now. In fact, not let Argentina take the sting out of the game by being able to knock the ball carefully around at the back and take up a minute or two, that type of stuff. It's important for them now to put in a few tackles as close to the Argentine goal as possible.
Well, one back.
That was naughty. I think the ref missed that.
Yes, that sliding challenge, a little bit high perhaps, but Renato has taken the ball on for Brazil, and there's danger again here, and Argentina had themselves in a mess there for a second and panicked the ball away as 2 players lie injured. Maciel for Brazil, couldn't quite see who it was for Argentina. Renato then gives it away, and gaps opening up all over the place as those 2 players still lie injured. Now the referee will allow treatment because Batistuta has gone down injured as well. I just wonder, Martin, you were talking about Renato needing the rest. Looking at the records, it's the 5th game in 10 days for Argentina, the 5th game in 9 days for Brazil. And you've got to say, I suppose, that's a much tougher programme than most players would be used to.
Well, it speaks for itself, and that's absolutely right. I mean, we talked about a World Cup at one stage being stretched from a few weeks into over a month, and it's now almost 5 weeks, I think, a World Cup tournament. And we thought that was bad enough, but suddenly here, the winners are going to play 7 games, and the loser are going to play 7 games in 15 days. I think it's a bit too much.
John, as a player yourself, how would you view the prospect of 5 games in 9 days?
Well, something on a stage like this, I mean, it's going to be hard any time, but I think with the crowd, this sort of stage, you don't mind, you get through it. It's going to be hard, yeah, certainly.
And a red card. A red card has been produced for, I think, Carlos Enrique, who has certainly shown the yellow card in the first half. And for that challenge, and I think again the referee's caught us all by surprise, Carlos Enrique has been dismissed, and Argentina have had their 2nd player sent off in the game. I'm not sure if anybody else is going to go here, but certainly Carlos Enrique has gone. Well, we need to have another look at that incident.
Well, as I said earlier, when I first looked at it, it did look a little bit naughty. I did see him stamp on him, but whether it warrants a sending off, I don't know. I think we'll see again coming up.
Well, it was certainly the player who had been shown a yellow card. Unlike the first incident, it was 2 players who hadn't previously been involved in anything. We can look at it again.
The foot's coming up here, there. Stamp on the back of the neck, that's the one.
No punishment for the Brazilian player who slid through in the tackle. Would you say he deserves some kind of admonishment, John, or what?
Well, I'd have to see that again because I was watching actually the Argentinian player.
I don't think so. I think he's genuinely injured. and John immediately picked it up and said that that was naughty, and he'd watched the Enrique go over the top. In second thoughts now, I thought we felt as if the referee has definitely noticed the incident.
See, here it is. Watch there.
But it was one of those allowing the play to continue on. But he's let it go an awfully long way before he's come back to the original incident.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
And while we're all on for letting play go on, there's sometimes, if it's a serious incident like that, then I think perhaps maybe the referee should have just stopped it then and there. We've always said, oh, that's good refereeing because you've allowed something to go on, and then he's gone back and shown admonishment elsewhere. But in that particular incident, if he felt that he was always going to send the player off, then perhaps maybe he should have stopped it.
Yes, that was a bit odd. John was absolutely spot on in noticing the kick early on, but then so much time elapsed while the injured Brazilian player was treated that one assumed the referee was just going to allow the match to continue, and it was all that time which lulled us into thinking that was his view of it. And then he suddenly produced the red card. And Argentina are down to 9 men now.
I hope it doesn't explode now.
Yeah, well, what effect, I think, is that going to have on them? They'll certainly be grateful that they got that third goal. It's given them a 1-goal cushion that they'll need, and maybe more here. As they go forward once again, and Taffarel down on his knees to save this time from Simeone. But remember, Brazil have had 1 player sent off, Argentina have had 2. And no doubt when people read that in the newspapers tomorrow, it will give the impression it's been a typically raw South American battle. It hasn't really been that, so you could argue all the sendings off were valid, but it hasn't been a particularly nasty or vicious game, has it?
I agree with you. It hasn't. You know, we expected incidents to occur because of these 2 titanic races, but it hasn't been vicious. It's never seemingly out of control. There's been people knocking each other off the ball, that type of thing, and throwing their arms up in gesticulations, but
no
there's
malice.
been nothing severe.
No malice at all.
There's been nothing at all severe, and suddenly we're down to 10v now.
I must admit, in the midst of all that, I'm not sure whether Brazil brought on a substitute. They had that player stretch it off. I didn't see a substitute come on, so I don't know whether they're currently down to 9 men or whether they brought another man on. I'll have a look around and see if they did bring on a sub, but certainly Argentina are down to 9 men against their own particular wishes, naturally enough. Well, this is not exactly a quiet evening lacking incident, is it? We've had a goal in the first minute of each half. We've had 3 players sent off, dramatic free kick, 3 great-headed goals. At the end of it all, Argentina are leading Brazil by 3 goals to 2, but they have only 9 men. Brazil go forward with their captain, Neto. I thought quite obviously was looking for the free kick then, and the referee has bought it, and I'm sure that's what Argentina are saying.
I thought that was a dreadful decision. If he's given it to Brazil, absolutely dreadful decision. Neto had overrun the ball, and he was looking for the free kick. In fact, we have seen players in England now actually booked for that, or certainly there's been a clampdown now on people actually looking for the foul. But it's that was shocking.
I think the referee was just too far away, really, to judge that one, and he's gone for the obvious, if you like. And, of course, the obvious in this particular case, and he's also waved a yellow card once again. Heaven knows who the victim is. Could be any one of about 5 players in the middle of there, or has he?
There's no consistency with the refereeing. We don't know really what he's doing now. He's starting to lose it.
Anyway, what I was going to say was a free kick to Brazil is a pretty serious offence as far as the defending team is concerned, as we know only too well. This is all a bit of gamesmanship, I'm sure, here. Franco getting involved. He's going to get himself booked if he's not careful. The referee is losing a bit of control here, and the ball was nowhere near 10 yards away when it was finally taken. And there's just an unpleasant little few minutes here which suggests that the referee might be letting this game slip away from him a bit.
I think the referee realises he can't really justify sending everybody else off, and I think the players also realise that themselves. So now all hell's going to let loose.
Well, we've seen much of the best of South American football here, with lovely skills and a great free kick and things like that. Let's hope we don't see the worst excesses of it now.
I think in fairness to Franco, I think he just genuinely wanted the 10 yards off the ball. Simple as that, because he took 2 free kicks against Ecuador in the previous round, and by the time he had lined up to him, they were 1.5 yards off him.
And, well, according to our TV colleagues in Chile, it was Leonardo Rodriguez who was booked in that incident. Here's João Paulo anyway for Brazil. Basualdo across to cover with a little help from Franco. And now Rodriguez in possession. He looks marvellously gifted and exciting. And determined as well. And Franco just used a very hefty shoulder to make sure he went no further. Well, skill has never been enough in football. You've got to be tough and strong as well in matches like this. And I think they were both looking for that challenge. The ball had been completely forgotten there for a second.
Good old-fashioned shoulder charge, that I think you can call that.
It certainly was. Argentina in possession again. Astrada gets it back from Batistuta and looked to chip Taffarel, and it wasn't a bad effort either. Almost caught the goalkeeper wrongly positioned once again. Neto gets it forward. That's good skill by this dangerous little winger, João Paulo. Oh, great run. And then he was blatantly brought down. No question about that one. Exciting little player, isn't he, João Paulo? He really takes people on.
Great player, and he really goes for the heart. He goes for the dead centre.
And another free kick, another opportunity for Franco to line up one of his specials.
I don't really think Rodriguez can afford to be standing sort of 1 yard off the ball how he is at the moment.
Smack in the centre of the field. And that's where the referee wants them. Franco just frustrated, really. And he's getting all kinds of advice here, the referee. And whilst all that's going on, the free kick was taken. That could have been a little bit of gamesmanship again on the Brazilian part. They were trying to really disturb everyone's concentration. Neto quickly swings it in again then. And Franco misses the shot with the left foot, tries it with the right. Is clobbered on the edge of the penalty area. And another free kick. I would not like to be the referee at this stage. It's boiling up nicely, this, isn't it?
It is. Be interesting to see the free kick again. Was it Goycochea touched it round himself, or did it elude him and actually hit the post?
Well, there's so much going on in this game. We haven't got a chance to look back on everything.
I think it was actually touched around the post.
Yes, I do miss one.
As I say, Alan, the game's certainly boiling up. I don't know if it's boiling up nicely, but it's certainly boiling up.
Renato might have a little stab at it here. The player with his stockings around his ankles. No, they've always got a little trick up their sleeves. Vazquez gets it away. Corner.
I think that one caught us all, that one as well.
Well, it's pressure now by Brazil, making the extra man count. But they're still 3-2 down. Goycochea just about got his fingertips to that. Franco. Oh, chipped in, lovely ball. Renato, a little bit of skill. Oh, what about that for close control? He's gone through 2 players right on the touchline. There was just the 3rd man lined up to beat him.
Great skill. It's got a nice touch.
Yes, it's ungainly but effective.
Rodriguez getting it forward. Argentina looking for another goal here to give themselves breathing space. Simeone goes down. Luis Enrique with the challenge. And they've got a free kick. And the sort of danger they've produced in the air, this could be a shaky moment for Brazil. 3-2 the score in Argentina's favour.
You might just live to regret that tackle, I think, Martin.
I thought that was a bookable offence.
Yeah. Very wild, wasn't it?
Simeone's bearing down in goal. I'm not saying he's the very last player between himself and the goalkeeper, but I thought that was a breakable offence to him.
Adidas, our other major sponsors, bringing you this live and exclusive coverage from Chile of the Copa América.
There's that stretcher again. That's been on a few times, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think somebody should sponsor the stretcher bearers here, really. We've seen more of them than the players in this game. Don't think he's going to go on to this stretcher somehow, do you?
No, I don't think so.
He's being physically lifted off by the Brazilians, and a little bit of unpleasant chat then going on between the medics.
Almost down to a five-a-side now, aren't we, Alan?
Yes. Never mind keeping count of the goals. We'll have to keep count of how many players are left here. Well, it's entertaining, that's for sure. There won't be anybody who's switched on who will be thinking about an early night at the moment. Free kick to Argentina. Rodriguez swings it in, good-looking one. Franco gets it forward, the whistle has gone. I think for an offside. And Brazil get on with it.
I think that's the first offside of the whole match, isn't it?
I think you're right, amazingly. That tells you a lot about the kind of game. Here he goes again, João Paulo. Dear, felt that one. But it's a brave man in this game who holds onto the ball and takes players on.
Great roll though, wasn't it? Great roll after, you see that?
Wow. He limps away, scorer of the second Brazilian goal. And we've got another player off the field. Free kick to Brazil, and behind it goes. Well, if you've had your appetite whetted by the kind of football we've seen here, reminder that SCREENSPORT brings you the Argentine League every week, and a new season starts on the 15th of August on this channel. Perhaps can't promise you this kind of entertainment and drama every week, but it's certainly a league well worth following right through from the beginning of the season. Argentina leading Brazil, remember, by 3-2. 2 goals for Franco, 1 for Batistuta. A free kick by Branco and a goal by João Paulo. The replies for Brazil. I think everybody who went off the field rather than sent off the field is now back on again. Batistuta with a little layoff to Simeone. Batistuta gets it back again. Good challenge by NATO. Franco holding off Rodriguez, and maybe a little bit too long. In the end, the free kick's gone against the Argentine player. Here's the captain again.
Oh.
Given away in midfield, Rodriguez for Argentina. 15 minutes to go now. Argentina with 2 players sent off, down to 9 men, and it could be a question now of a side playing a team with 1 extra man on the field and playing also their 5th game in 10 days, of how their stamina holds out here. But they do have that vital goal lead. I guess, Martin, they'll be looking to try and kill the game as much as they can now and just waste a little bit of time here and there.
I think that's exactly what they would be intending to do. But as far as their sending offs are concerned, I'm talking about or sendings off, the correct pronunciation, are concerned in the Argentinian side. I think Chile will be viewing that with a great deal of glee. They play them next, and they'll be looking at least two of the top players will not be playing in the game.
It's that game on Friday in the stadium. Then Colombia on Sunday is Argentina's last game. Brazil play Colombia on Friday, and then Chile on Sunday. Well, the way this game has gone, it's difficult to believe it's going to peter out into a tame final 14 minutes. Because every time it's got quiet, something has suddenly happened to bring it to life again. a goal kick.
I certainly think after the end of this game, there's going to be some very tired legs.
Indeed.
It's just a shame, really, they're having to play so many matches in such a short period of time.
You just said it was no problem, Dad.
Well, I've changed my mind watching it now, Martin.
Well, I guess when you're leading 3-2, you don't feel quite as tired as the Brazilians might be now, trying to force their way back and get at least a point from their opening match here, because only a couple of games after this. Can't really afford to lose the first one if you've got designs on winning the tournament, and they are the holders, of course. They need a point at least here, I would have thought, Brazil. Although so much has happened against all odds in this competition that you'd be foolish to predict anything. Leonardo dispossessed by Vazquez, quite fairly this time. Simeone.
I was just going to mention that Brazil have had an extra man for a long period in the game, and they haven't been able to adjust themselves properly. Now, lots of sides aren't able to counteract or aren't able to produce something. But I just think in situations like this, now considering it's 10v9, I think there's only one way you've got to do it, and you've got to stretch them. You've got to go wide. Brazil have got to put men wide into wide positions and say, right, we'll take you on from here. Just use the whole width of the field to try and get something out of it instead of trying to condense the game. Argentina are very happy for Brazil to condense the game. They don't want to be stretched now at this stage of the proceedings.
Having said that, ironically, their most effective flank player, João Paulo, has had to go off. I think just the victim of too many crunching tackles and tiredness. He's gone. Careca has taken his place. He was impressive as a substitute in the match Brazil lost against Colombia. And it'll need to be again here if they're to get back on level terms. They're 3-2 down. Especially with a name like Careca as well. Yes, common enough name in Brazil, but one that you carry with pride. They've had some great players. This is not, of course, the most famous Careca, the one who plays in Italy, but nonetheless, he's had a couple of good appearances already in this tournament. NATO trying to line up a shot here. No way through. And Argentina have certainly worked hard here. Free kick goes their way.
Just trying to emphasise my own point there, that there was nowhere for NATO, there was no room for NATO to go anywhere in that bit, and he was crying out for someone to go wide, to give him an outlet, and at least then there's an alternative. If he goes past one or two players, then he might be in for something, but give him an outlet. There was nobody pulling wide. They just condensed the space, and NATO again overran the ball.
Well, Falcao is an anxious man, the Brazilian coach at this stage. Caught a brief shot of Basile, the Argentine coach, and there's another red card. I don't believe this one. The linesman had a part to play in this, and it looks like Careca, who's only just come on. Well, this is one for the record books. It's another sending off. That's the fourth of the game, and this time it's a player who can have been on the field only, what, 3 minutes?
That's disgraceful. That's just mockery of game. It's ridiculous, that.
Well, I'm definitely not going to speak too soon here, but
I'm not even sure why he was sent off.
Must have been something he said to the referee. We can only presume that.
Well, if we assume that you're right and that the linesman had something to do with the incident, perhaps maybe it was an off-the-ball incident.
Well, certainly the referee came over and consulted the linesman. I mean, I wasn't expecting anything. I thought it was just an injured player and we were waiting to get on with the game. Now the Brazilians are pleading with the linesman concerned. And judging by the reaction of the crowd here, we might have seen a little elbow or an arm shot out there. And what's happening now?
But surely not. I think he's
maybe calling the captains over. Well, there's mayhem here. Ruggeri has come off. He's come off to be treated.
Looks like something again off the ball.
I think Careca has definitely thrown an elbow into the Brazilian defenders, or into the Argentinian defender's face.
But I mean, we saw it there, Martin. I don't know if that was warrant to send off.
Well, I just had this point at half-time with Phil that I felt Caniggia was desperately unlucky because he's sort of thrown an elbow into someone's chest. Or just break off for a second.
This is an amazing game. Now we've had both sides have had 2 players dismissed here, and we can see here, watch for the left of the picture, the defender backing up and Careca backing into him, and whack, he comes round. Now what did Ruggeri do to deserve that? That much perhaps you couldn't see. Certainly a bit of shirt tugging. Didn't look any more serious than that, but it might have been. And, well, it proves the old point, John, you've got to have eyes in the back of your head and everywhere else when you're a referee.
Certainly have.
Well, none of us saw that first time, to be fair.
No, we didn't. But it was just continuing it on. I do think that he has swung out, you know, and he has to try to connect his face. Now, whether I'm trying to make a silly point that hitting someone in the face or trying to rub someone in the side of the chest or something like that, there are 2 completely different incidents. I'm not sure, but it looked as if he has swung out.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'll agree with you there.
Well, oddly enough, of all the sendings off, that was probably the most merited, and it was the one that almost escaped all our attentions because it was off the ball. And now it's getting very interesting.
And of course, the referee doesn't have the benefit of being able to see it 2nd time, 3rd time, 4th time as we are.
No, indeed not. 7 minutes to go here. Argentina have 9 men. Brazil have 9 men on the field. Argentina have 3 goals. Brazil have 2. And this has been one of the most dramatic of the many meetings between these 2 giants of South American football. And now there's going to be a substitution. If the referee has any pages left in his book to make note of it, Rodriguez is coming off. And Junta will take his place. And Rodriguez has had an outstanding game and been at the heart of all 3 Argentine goals. I think they're taking him off just in case he gets sent off, probably. They'll want him for the next match. And Brazil still have time, of course. Still have 6 minutes to force an equaliser here. Franco with the free kick.
There's hardly any players in the box, isn't there?
And he won't be happy to take the kick until they've moved back a bit. Referee has to try and keep an eye on what's going on now off the ball. The wall, the player taking the free kick, everything. And the bend on that was amazing. It looked a pretty hopeless position for a strike on goal again, but he managed to swerve it. Look at that.
He does take a mean free kick, Mike. There's no doubt about that.
It's Rodriguez going off rather than being sent off. I don't think there'll be much hot water left in the showers here by the time the rest of the chaps get back to the dressing room. I just think the groundsman's demented, having to unlock the dressing room door every few minutes. And Argentina are leading 3-2 here. 5 minutes to go. What a match it's been. And I said before that every time you think it's gone a bit quiet, something happens, and sure enough, there was another sending off then. And referee Maciel of Paraguay has been right at the heart of a lot of the drama in this game. Well, you think we had goals in the first minute of each half as well. There hasn't been much of this game that has got tedious.
I think Mr. Maciel as well has had more sending offs to his credit than any other referee in the tournament.
He certainly has now.
And I think that might even be before today.
4 off in 1 game, 5 goals, and it's not over yet. And there'll be a fair amount of time to be added on for all the stoppages as well. So we've got at least 5 minutes to go here for Brazil to try and save things. And Franco went clean through with that tackle as well on Simeone.
It's a shame the second half's been littered with stoppages because it had the makings of an absolutely classic game. When it's been 3-2, it's been exciting to a point, but there have been lulls in the match. That's a lot to do with the fact that the referees finally deciding who he's going to send off.
Yeah, I think you've got to blame him really for those, Martin.
Here's Franco for Brazil. They're still trying to force the equalising goal in the midst of all this. Renato. He's done well again. That leggy, loping run of his. Neto let it run on to Mauro Silva. They need to get it in the box here, really. They've got a lot of players lining up for the cross. Renato with the back heeler, and that's a foul. And the substitute, Unita, wins the free kick, and that'll give a precious little bit of breathing space to Argentina. On my watch now, we've got 2.5 minutes to go. And Argentina holding on to their 3-2 lead, despite the fact that they've had 2 men sent off. But Brazil have also had the same number dismissed. They've had free kicks galore in this second half. And a game packed with incident. Rocha, the defender, getting it forward to Mauro Silva. Rocha again. Argentina just dropped everybody back. Franco. On by Maciel Santos to Renato. Useful looking cross, but the goalkeeper had plenty of time to see it coming, Goycochea. Well, John, the $64,000 question, is this a game you'd like to have played in?
Yeah, I would have actually. I'd like to have played with players like this. I mean, obviously the player's got great ability, and any professional would like to play with players who've got good ability like that.
And here they go again, Argentina. As long as they keep the ball in this half of the field, they'll be all right. But there's some weary legs out there now. It's beginning to look obvious. The likes of Franco and Batistuta looking very, very tired up front, doing a lot of selfless running to try and just give some breathing space to their defenders. And they've won a free kick. Batistuta, the leading scorer in the tournament now, remember, with 5 goals, including the one he scored in the first 30 seconds of the second half today. They might just go all the way back here if they can. And the Argentine fans counting the seconds away. We're into the final 30 seconds of the normal 90 minutes, but there will surely be at least 3, maybe even 4 minutes, who knows, to be added on by the referee. We've had injuries, the sendings off, and lots and lots of stoppages in the second half. Oh, that's a nice bit of skill by the substitute, but then he gives it away. Franco, Mauro Silva took a risk and got away with it well. Neto helping it on to Franco again on the left. A tired looking cross, headed away. Batistuta runs straight into trouble, but Argentina have the extra player, and the extra player, Astrada, has won the throw. We have now moved into added time here, so it's all a question of the referee's discretion how long we have now. Argentina lead Brazil by 3 goals to 2 in the opening match of the second phase of the Copa América. And Brazil, who were maybe a little bit fortunate to even qualify here. In fact, surprisingly, the referee has played hardly any extra time at all, less than a minute added on, and that's the end. And Argentina have beaten Brazil by 3 goals to 2 in an action-packed and controversial match here in Santiago. You almost lose his count of the incidents, John.
There was actually a little bit of a fight there. I actually saw one of the players strike another player. I don't know whether we got that.
Well, you've been spot on seeing things that even the referee hasn't managed to spot tonight. I'm not sure whether people are exchanging shirts or having them ripped off their backs here, but the story of the match is this, that Argentina who scored in the very first minute through Franco. Saw the goal pulled back then by Branco's free kick. Went into a 2-1 lead, another header by Franco. They made it 3-1 then, with Batistuta scoring early on. João Paulo pulled one back for Brazil. 2 players from each side were sent off. It all ended up Argentina 3, Brazil 2.
Back to the National Stadium here in Santiago with that full-time score. Argentina 3, Brazil 2. 4 men off, 5 goals. Argentina make it 5 wins out of 5. Martin O'Neill, deservedly so?
Well, it was action-packed. Yes, I think so, Phil. Yeah, I think they've done enough to win the game. And at a stage, Brazil could never make numerical advantage count at all at any stage of the proceedings. And yeah, Argentina deserved to win the game.
Always chasing the game after that first-minute goal from Dario Franco, and then another one straight after the restart.
The one after the restart, Batistuta's goal was the turning point to me. The one that most certainly Brazil did not want to concede. Didn't learn a lesson from the first half. Caught cold again just after half-time, and uphill after that.
Well, heaven knows what these games are doing for the national output, Martin, but not many people, I should imagine, have gone to bed during that one.
No doubt about it. 2 big nations vying for everything here. Wildly important for Falcao to try and get something out of this. Brazil desperate to have a good side. Haven't had a good team now for 10 years. And Argentina full value for their victory.
It's the first match when we've had over 50 fouls.
Is that right?
90 minutes, yes, indeed. 52. I have to say the referee's control of the game less than perfect. And as you see there on the caption, the body count, meaning that both sides down to 9 men at the final whistle. Martin and I at the break begging to differ perhaps over the double sending off in the first half of Caniggia and Mazinho. But surely those 2 red cards from the second thoroughly justified.
Yeah, very much so, Phil. Very much so.
We can talk about that later on, but let's start right at the top of the game. This was inside 30 seconds when Argentina won a corner, and there's the first of the night from Dario Franco, the lanky number 8, who plays for Newell's Old Boys, and we understand will be in Spain next season. But that's another powerful hanging header from the tall man who scored at Wembley in May against England.
They just can't believe their start, Phil. You know, you're a goal in front, and it's just like starting a game. It's as if you've gone out for a little warm-up, come back out into the dressing room, gone out again, and the referee has given you a goal.
Well, Brazil, we know that they must have been rocking after their narrow escape in scraping past Ecuador the other night. But all credit to them, they came back with a fine goal on 4 minutes. It's another Branco bombshell.
Terrific goal. And it's interesting to see behind the goal to see if perhaps Goycochea might have been able to get a touch, but the ball absolutely flew in.
Here's 2-1, 39 minutes, it's Franco again. This time a near post header, beautifully flighted over Taffarel. John had a slight question mark about the keeper.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with John either. I still, the look at Taffarel's face just afterwards, he looks just almost despondently at the ground, and then looks across at defenders trying to blame them. But superb skill by Rodriguez here, absolutely brilliant.
Leonardo Rodriguez, in fact, winning his first cap at Copa 91. The San Lorenzo player turning goal provider once again. 33 seconds into the second half, and what a nail in Brazil's coffin that must have been.
Yeah. Again, what he could do on the left-hand side, he could do very much on the right, and it's touched in. I think the speed of the ball off the slippery surface has been enough to elude Taffarel, and Brazil find themselves 3-1 down.
Batistuta with his 5th goal of the tournament. That makes him now clearly the top scorer. But here were Brazil coming back once again, showing fortitude, showing character when it mattered. João Paulo pulls one back as the cross is deflected into his path. Really couldn't miss that one, Martin.
No, he couldn't. It was important for them to get in. There still was plenty of time in the game, Phil, when they'd made it 3-2. I thought perhaps maybe they might have been able to put enough pressure on Argentina again to try and get the 3rd goal. But there was never a concerted impetus up in Brazil's game, possibly at any stage of the whole game.
Well, Argentina have always had the better of Brazil in Copa competitions. In 21 previous meetings, they'd won 11 of them. It's now 12. Coming up in our next game for you this evening, Chile, the host nation, against Colombia. Well, what can we say after what we've just seen? follow that. We'll be back after the break.